What's going on, y'all? There's only one universal law. I want to make this video because there's some confusion about who God's people are, and it's really simple, and yet we don't seem to understand this at all. I can tell by looking at our circumstances. So God's people are those that follow universal law. So what's universal law? If you don't know what universal law is, well, tough to know who's God's people are, right? So the universal law is the only law of the universe. Man doesn't make up law. God makes up law. And so God's people, to follow universal law, have to operate in transparency and honesty. So you have to always serve the best that you know of yourself. So anytime we're forcing somebody else to do anything else, that is not God's law. So when you're talking about forcing people to wear masks and stuff, you are oppressing God's people. You are attacking God's people. You are not God's people. You are the oppressors. You are the Nazis. And I don't care if you don't like this, because you are not taking responsibility and you're making our world shitty. Very shitty. I don't want to be here because of your confusion about what law is. Man does not make law. Will never ever make law. They may come up with some fancy ideas that seem to harmonize with universal law, but they do not make universal law, okay? I can't somehow say, hey, if I drive out in front of a car, I'm not going to get an accident. You know, it just doesn't work that way. It is what it is. It always will be. That's universal law. Universal law stipulates that whatever the law is, it never changes at any time or any place. It's always in effect. Always in effect. So you can't, so when we're sitting around here trying to force other people to do, see, here's the thing. People that count on man's law is because they don't really believe in universal law. And that is the war that we're in. That is World War III. This is where we're at, people. I need y'all to wake up. What we're doing is waking up. There's two groups that are going to come out of this. There's going to be one group that is learning about universal law by being truthful and honest with themselves and moving towards a personal relationship with God, and allow other people to do the same. And then there's going to be this other group that's scared to shit that nothing's in control, and the only way to control it and make sure that we're not in danger is to control everybody else. That's the other group, because they don't believe in universal law. So they have to make up a bunch of fucking laws to tell you how to behave, because they don't believe that God's got this under control. So we all need to wake up. If you're putting on a mask and you don't even know because somebody told you to, I'm sorry, but you are committing adultery. You are committing idolization. You are not worshiping God. Anytime you do that, you're a coward. You're being a coward. We are surrounded by a bunch of cowards because they weaponize this idea of helping each other, you know? You have to be honest with yourself first. You cannot help somebody else unless you can protect yourself first. No, you should never ever bow down to anything else unless you know it's the case, because you've done your own research. Not because they scared you into it, not because they said this or they said that. If you go look at what they say, and you really look at all the things, and then what you want to do is find things that don't line up with that. And then you don't ignore it. You look into it, you know? And I'm telling you, these people that are making up the law are criminals. They're nothing but criminals. They always have been, you know? But we're so scared to stand up for ourselves, and we don't believe in God anymore. We're really materialistic that we think that we're being nice people by putting on masks, and all we're doing is propping up a criminal organization. That's what we're doing. And wondering why we get raped all day chasing this funny money that ain't worth shit. You know, it's because we're enslaved. We're in Babylon. We're not serving God. We're not serving each other and ourselves. We're not. We haven't been for a long time. You know, but we keep telling ourselves these pretty little lies in order to not deal with the situation and continue on doing what we've been doing. Because it's easy. You know, even though it's fucked up and our world is getting worse, we don't want to make the sacrifices necessary in order to go down the road that we need to, because it's going to take individuals like myself and you to make those hard decisions. And no, you're not going to get all the little benefits of the state if you don't roll along with them. And that's why most people are putting on a mask. It's because they know this. They know that if they don't, then they're going to get booted. Well, because you're behaving like that, everybody's got to bow down. You know, not cool, man. It's not cool in any way, shape, or form. You know, I need everybody to wake up. Like, ask yourself, like, is there actual purpose and meaning in the world? Is there actual law, universal law? Or is it all just happenstance? It's all just chaos. It's a fairly straightforward question, but we don't want to deal with the answer. Because if there is order in the world, then God is in control. There's no halfway about this shit. It doesn't mean that we know what it is, and it doesn't mean that we get to sit back on our ass and let God, you know, do everything. We're here to participate and engage. So if you see something and you notice something, that's God participating in you and through you. You know, we are a part of God. You know, God knows what truth is because we're able to weigh the difference in our hearts. They say, do we really know this? You know, like, not quite sure about this. And we never know everything to its fullest extent, you know, but we do give due diligence. We're not giving due diligence to looking at these things and seeing what God really wants. You know, we're just serving the state because most of us have told ourselves, well, if the state said it can't be bad because the state would never do anything bad. What a joke, man. That's the whole reason that we built the Bible and everything else, is to remind us that man's law is not God's law. It's not. It's not. It never will be. Okay? It's just best guesses. You know? And we're wrong all the time. All the time. And the only way for us to learn is to admit that. But we don't want to. We don't want to admit that we're acting like fucking idiots right now. For the most part, you know? You are participating in forcing somebody to do your will. You are the oppressive factor. I don't care if you don't like what I'm saying. I don't like you behaving like that. Forcing other people to do. I want to live in a free world. You know? And the only way that we can actually live in a free world is if we actually believe that there's a law that's greater than ourselves. Otherwise, we're all just trying to control each other. And that's the world that we live in. Because we don't actually believe in purpose. We don't actually believe in meaning. We don't actually believe in universal law. And it's because we don't test it. We don't look at it. You know, when you start really looking at these things, you realize that you're a fucking idiot. And God's always had this thing under control. You know? And that's our salvation. Thank God. You know, when we realize that. But we want to act like we're the arbiter. We want to be God. So we put ourselves, this is the blasphemy of the Holy Spirit, the desolation of the sanctuary, is because we are the temple of God, and we're not honest. When we're not honest, that's blasphemy. You know, when we know better, but when we hear ourselves and go, man, maybe that's not completely true, but we go along with it anyways, that's lying. That's lying. You lie. We are all lying to ourselves all the time, all day long. And it's just getting worse, you know, because we're acting out of fear. And these are the birth pangs of Christ. That's why I said in the last day, you know, Christ, as we realize the truth, we get in line with universal law, the Christ is manifested. And we're that much closer to being God, being in line with God, harmonizing with God, allowing the Spirit to use us. So we're that much more, you know? And, you know, when we're not, well, we're not, you know? And it's just going to get worse until we figure out what we're doing wrong. And that's what's happening right now. What we're doing wrong is we're not looking at ourselves. We're not being honest with ourselves. We're not being transparent with ourselves. You know, if we want to see the new world that's free, then I need you to start to be as honest as you possibly can with yourself today. That doesn't mean you need to be perfect, you know? Like, just admit your dragons, admit where you're going wrong, admit the things that you need to work on, you know, and give it your best. And when you come up short today, because I guarantee you will, because nobody can do this 100% all the time, you just take it on the chin. You know, I'll give you an example, okay? Like, I had my son stripped from me because I've been talking about these truths, and they're uncomfortable, and well, people want to run to the state because that's who's offering all this protection now. You know, and so, well, I had my son taken away from me because I said I wouldn't wear a mask, you know, and where was I going with this? And you know, I've been going through this divorce, you know, and I haven't seen my son in over a year and a half, and like, man, it's been tough, you know, like, every day that breaks my heart. There's nothing more precious to me, and yet, I haven't been going down and doing this paperwork on this court stuff, even though I got court coming up. I mean, I've done a majority. We're technically divorced now, you know, but like I had to file an adjustment on the child support because I walked away from my job because they want to do tracking and tracing and test me with PCR testing, which is bullshit. Anybody who's looked at the inventor of PCR knows this is all bullshit. They killed him, by the way. Interesting. So anyways, you know, I need to be filing this paper, and I haven't. I'm going down there now to see what needs to be done next, but I've been postponing it because it scares the shit out of me, you know? It's like I love my son more than anything in this world. My boys are everything to me, and they lied and took him away from me, and now they got a 3-year restraining order, you know, and like, well, the divorce is done, and so like, they just want to take the rest of my shit, and I don't care about my shit. All of this shit is just there for these relationships, mostly my boys, you know, and it's just insult to injury, you know? Like, I don't care about all this shit and they want to take the right. I'm just like, I'll fucking take it. Well, that's not responsible. You know, that's not the right way to go about this. You know, like, I can't just throw away everything because, you know, I didn't get my son. You know? But it's understandable why I would feel that way. And I haven't been dealing with it. I haven't been facing my demons, my dragons, you know? Like, we do it to the best that we can, and then we come up short, and then we go, you know what, but I'm not doing it, you know? And so that's what we all need to do. You know what that is. I don't know what the hell you need to do, and you don't know what I need to do. That's why it's so personal relationship. That's why it's so awesome. You know, I used to trip on this. I used to think, yeah, okay, I believe in God. Like, you know, it seems like if there's order, then there must be a God out there, some transcendent, but he was way out there. And it took a while for me to like realize that if God is in control, he's in every little thing. And that means that he's familiar with the way that I feel and the things that I think. And in fact, that is him. That is her. You know? Working through me, working with me. But if I'm not honest with that, I'm fucked, man. And that's where we're at. We are not being honest with the spirit. And we're fucked, man. I need y'all to get real. It doesn't have to look pretty. It don't have to look pretty. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm putting myself online. I fucking hate Facebook. I hate these videos. I hate going out there and making an ass out of myself. But it's not being done. So I'm doing this to show y'all the way, the path. You don't have to do this perfectly. You can act an idiot like Chris, Rooster. Get out there and give it what you got, you know, and come up short. And you know what? God will come and dust you off and show you the right way. And you'll grow because of it. But we're not walking that path. We're running getting increasingly scared and running further away from our truth and into the state. These criminal liars that want to chip and tag us. This is not a good situation, and we have to turn it around now. We must turn it around now. There's a new world coming about, and it doesn't have anything to do with man's law. It has to do with each of us being honest with ourselves and holding each other accountable. All those other people are just scary ass bitches that are always going to be trying to control each other. Let them go. Come up out of Babylon. Let's move into God's thing. And as we do this better and better, people will see that there's obviously no other way that's better. And it is the only way. Love y'all.